Hello, my name is Jason Rhodes, and we'll be talking about the violin today. The violin is the smallest instrument in the string family. The order of the strings go from the lowest note being G to a D to an A to an E. Now, what's interesting about the violin is that if you look from the lowest string to the highest string, the notes are tuned in perfect fifths. If you look from the highest string to the lowest string, the notes are tuned in perfect fourths. This is very convenient for understanding key signatures. For example, the first sharp would be an F sharp in a key signature, making it a G major scale. The first note on the string is a G. Now, if you add the other sharp, the C sharp, into the key signature, it would become a D major scale, which is the next string. Now, this process of understanding that all you have to do is go across the strings in a perfect fifth makes it very simple for understanding key signatures. But let's move on. So, an important technique to understand about the violin is that you have to have extremely good posture. So, a couple of the techniques are placing the violin with the scroll of the violin pointing outward from your shoulder and your violin bow being or having the frog in front of your belly button. The reason why it's like this is because if your violin were in front of you and you're playing with the bow still at a 90-degree angle, this creates your right arm to really be in an awkward position as opposed to just having it in front of you and just letting your arm drop. This is to avoid any tension in your body in awkward postures. So it's important for the violinist who starts as a beginner to achieve this posture. Now, an important technique to be able to do from the day that you first pick up a violin is to be able to place your arm down, your left arm down, and support your violin with solely your chin and your shoulder. The reason for this is so that you can avoid any additional pressure or stress, or tension in your left hand as you're playing the violin. As we mentioned before, the violin is the smallest instrument in the string family, meaning that as you go up higher in the registers, the intervals become closer and closer together, and this causes a lot of violinists to typically tense up. So if they aren't able to support the violin with just their chin, it becomes a little bit more difficult to play harder material. Now, moving on. The right arm of the violin is the magic maker of the instrument. Intervals are obvious. They have to be correct. There's no way getting around that. But the right arm is what really lets a violinist show their virtuoso. So, the right hand should be able to go right on the violin without making any sound, so that they're preparing the bow before they play a note, as opposed to just placing the bow on the violin as you play a note. The beginning start of the sound does not sound as strong as, so it's important for them to be able to place the bow on the violin without making any sound. Another important technique would be string crossing, placing the bow, like we just did, on the string in the middle, and moving our right shoulder along with the strings. Now, I'm making a little bit of sound as I'm talking, but The idea of this is to achieve no sound. Now, if they are creating sound as they're crossing the strings, there are a couple of reasons why this might be. It might be that they don't have enough pressure in their pointer finger and weight into their pinky. It also might be that they aren't raising their elbow with the bow. The reason why the right elbow is so important is because if you're playing on the G string and your elbow is not raised and it is lowered like this, it creates a very awkward position for your arm as opposed to this, where it feels fluid and unrestricted. Or rather, here, and unrestricted for the G string, as opposed to this. Right? This looks awkward as opposed to this. This lessens the motion and only creates this motion as opposed to a full extension from being as tight as possible. So it's important for your elbow to be aligned with the string and the bow. Now, let's see. The last thing we'll cover is probably, like we mentioned, the pressure in the pointer finger and the pinky is extremely important in string crossing. The reason why string crossing might be difficult without making any sound is because of the lack of pressure and support behind the bow. So the way to get used to supporting the weight would be doing this exercise called the windshield wipers, right? The bow is parallel to the floor at both turns, and as you're doing this, when you're turning it outward from your body, the pinky is pushing and then adjusting to the pointer finger now. And this way, turning it back inward towards us, the pointer finger is doing the work, and then the pinky is supporting the bow. So this is a very good exercise for people to practice. You don't necessarily have to only use 2 fingers, but if they can do it with just 3 fingers, this is extremely good practice for them. And that'll conclude this video, and I hope it was very helpful. Thank you.